Hello everybody out there in YouTube land. Today I am continuing my series of reviews by taking a look back at Countdown number 50. Countdown, known as Countdown to Final Crisis for its last 24 issues, was a comic book limited series published by DC Comics. It debuted in May 9th, 2007, and since this is a countdown, the story order for the numbering is backwards. So you start with issue 51 and count down to issue number 1. So issue number 50 is written by Dan Dinney and Jimmy Palamati. The pencils are by Jim Calafor. Inks are by Mark McKenna. And colors are by Tom Cho. The cover is by Andy Hubert and Moose Bauman. Now, it's a pretty interesting cover. It's a little over-exaggerated for my preference, like the Joker's teeth. I mean, holy cow, those are some big teeth. But I'm sure a lot of people loved it. The Joker is just absurdly popular. I was thinking earlier today what the top 5 most popular DC characters would be, and the Joker, in my opinion, is probably, at the very least, in the top 10. He's crazy, so his exaggerated posture there is fine. But yeah, it's not really my favorite cover, but it is a good cover. I'll give it that. And he's holding Jimmy Olsen's press pass, which is kind of interesting because Jimmy plays a big part in this comic. So starting off on the first page, we start off with Jimmy Olsen, actually. And this is pretty cool. He's in New York and he's looking for a particular place that he's doing an investigative report on. And he's actually talking to Superman, who's up in orbit. So Superman fries the lock on this door. He tells him where to go, and then he burns the lock out for him with his heat vision, and Jimmy goes in. And on the second page, you see this great splash page. I really like it. This is my favorite page in this issue for sure. So, you know, Jimmy says thank you, and then Superman's up in space, and he says, "No problem, pal. Good luck with the story." And in the backdrop there, you can see Earth and the part with the sun on it in the western United States, and then the eastern United States is all lit up. And Canada, too. You can see Canada and Mexico. So the part that's nighttime is all lit up. That's really cool, I think. And then you get the credits there for everyone that worked on it, and it says the issue title. So it's called Last Laugh. And we go to the next page, and it's Jason Todd, Red Hood. He's beating up all these ninjas, and that's who Jimmy's there to investigate. So he was watching him fight, and he's taking all these pictures of what's going on. I really liked this scene. I thought it did a good job of capturing Jason Todd, especially what it says here. It's Jimmy in his mind, and he says, "I've been around plenty of metahumans, aliens, new gods, and vigilantes over the years. I've met Batman loads of times, and believe me, he's plenty scary. But Jason, he's a lot like Batman, but he's willing to do something Batman never would. He's willing to kill." So then, after all the ninjas are beat up, I don't know if he killed them or just beat them up, but they're all incapacitated on the ground. So Jason says to Jimmy, he can come out now, Olsen, and asks him what he's doing and how he found him. And Jimmy holds up his watch with the Superman logo, and Jason Todd's like, "Must be nice not having to do your own legwork. So what's the story?" And Jimmy's investigating what happened in the last issue. And if you haven't watched that, I'll have a link to that in the description box. But in that issue, quote-unquote Joker's daughter, so Duela Dent is a character in DC, and she goes by the name of Joker's daughter, but she isn't really his daughter. In any case, she died in the last issue, so Olsen's wondering what happened, and he asks Red Hood about it, and Red Hood recaps what happened. We saw that in the last issue, and in the meantime, it's kind of funny. He's just piling all the bodies into a pile. So, I don't know. I think it's implied he killed all those ninjas. And Red Hood tells him what he knows, and then he says, he says he should ask the Joker, because it's, you know, Joker's daughter, so that's what Jimmy's gonna do. And we go to the next page, and we're catching up with Mary Marvel. We saw in the last issue that she had been in a coma for a while and lost her powers. Okay, and she's talking to this character here who's actually kind of interesting, named Madame Xanadu, and she asks her how she's going to get her powers back and what she should do and all that. And I hadn't actually heard of Lady Xanadu before reading this, so I went ahead and looked her up. And if you don't know about her, she's kind of interesting. She first appeared in Doorway to Nightmare #1 from 1978, and she has precognition and can sense magic, and she's immortal, apparently. So that's pretty interesting. And so she doesn't have really good information for Mary Marvel. Basically, she tells her, don't go to Gotham, and she says Gotham isn't a good place for magic. So Mary kind of gets frustrated with that and leaves. And then we see this page, and Countdown, this series really jumps around a lot. So at least you've got someone here to tell you what's going on. So honestly, this is like third scene, and we're on like the 5th page. But anyways, it's Batman and Karate Kid, and they're fighting. You don't have any explanation as to why. And that goes for a couple of pages. Karate Kid's getting the better of him. He takes his belt away and punches him a bunch of times, but Black Lightning comes up behind him and zaps him, and Karate Kid says, "You cheated." So another weird thing about this fight, I've read this exact same fight in another comic, in Justice League number 8 from 2006. This exact same fight happens, like word for word, even the part where he gets zapped by Black Lightning and says you cheated, and when he takes his belt from Batman and everything else. So I honestly think it's supposed to be that same fight again. Let me know in the comments if you know for sure, but in the trade back, the Lightning Saga, it has that issue I'm talking about, and I've read it a couple of times, and the fight is exactly like this, although one major difference is that Karate Kid is wearing a different outfit. But yeah, I think it's the same fight. And these two comics came out at almost the exact same time. This came out like a year after that one. So that's kind of interesting. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. So we go to the next page, and it's another one of those ads like I pointed out in the last one where it had the "Where is Mary Marvel" pin, and I talk about it in there somewhat. So here we see a pin that says "I found Ray Palmer." So we go to the next page, and it's the Rogues, and I find the Rogues parts of this series to be the most entertaining. So it's the Rogues, and they're hanging out, they're partying, and Mirror Master shows up, and he comes out of the table, which is glass. And it's actually kind of funny because Heatwave is doing lines of, well, I assume it's cocaine, but some drug off of the table, and Mirror Master snorts one of the lines, like, even though he's in the glass. And then he comes out of the glass, and he tells them that Inertia and Captain Cold have called a meeting, and they're supposed to go to it. And then they get into a bit of a scuffle because none of the other Rogues like Piper or Trickster, because apparently they worked with the Flash in the past. And they get into a bit of a tussle, and Heatwave burns the carpet between them and breaks up the fight, and Mirror Master gets back in the mirror and leaves. And on his way he says, "Show up, or we'll hunt you down and kill you." And then we go to the next page, and it's Jimmy Olsen. He is now at Arkham Asylum, and he's there to see the Joker. So he goes to the Joker's cell, and he's going to interview him. And he says, "I'd like to ask you a few questions, Joker." And the Joker says, "I'd like to strangle your pink little neck until your eyes pop out of your head." And Olsen says, "Do you know your daughter is dead? I'm covering the story for the Planet." And Joker's like, "Dead?" And then he kind of freaks out, and he says, "What happened?" And Olsen says she was murdered, and he's like, "Murdered? Oh no, say it isn't so, my baby, my poor sweet evil precious baby." And he's like, "Did you do it? Did you have anything to do with this?" And then we get this page, which is really creepy. You see that big panel there with the Joker, and he's talking about how things have been real strange lately, and he's like, "Haven't you noticed all the weird stuff going on?" And he's talking about the time slips and all of the incongruities, like after the Crisis on Infinite Earths. He doesn't spell it out, but that's what he's talking about. So Olsen's like, "Whatever, you're crazy," and he starts to leave. And then Joker says, "I don't even have a daughter. Doppelganger's gone wild, Jimbo. My daughter. You slay me, and let me slay you in return. So long, Jimbo. Be a sweetie and send me the obituaries." So Olsen walks away, and he calls on the phone to Lois, and he's like, "I better touch base with Lois and let her know the whole thing was a dead end." And in the last panel there, you see Killer Croc got loose and is about to fight Olsen. So that's issue number 50. I thought it was pretty good. Sucker jumps around a lot, but fortunately for you, you have someone who is going to review it and count it down and explain the obscure characters and give you my opinion on it while I'm going. So let me know down in the comments what you thought, if you like this series and want me to continue it. I plan on it, but you know, any feedback is great. And as always, if you're subscribed, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. I'm trying to grow this channel. I've put already a ton of time into this channel. You don't even know. It takes a lot of time to edit these videos, to record it, and everything else, to do the research, to fact check and all that. I think I might do a video sometime on kind of the process I go through to make these videos. But in any case, any help you can provide by sharing these videos and subscribing helps me out a great deal. Alright, well, that's all for now, and as always, thank you for watching.
End of line.